Oh shit! My foot come out my pedal. Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. So, stage one of this month's ZRacing series is here, and it's on the Two Bridges loop. So it's about 22.8k, just over 200 meters of climbing, and it's one of those routes where it's kind of short, sharp efforts, kind of decide everything. Key spots to watch are there, like Two Bridges punch and the drag climb towards the finish. And I've lined up in this one, and things, well, didn't exactly go to plan. Let's get into it. So in this one, I kind of lined up in the 510 to 650 category because I'm in the kind of 630s on ZRS. And to be expected, the pace was about 4 or 5 watts per kilo out the gate. But actually we had relatively good numbers in this one, so I was quite happy with that. So this has kind of one of the shortest lead-ins, and that's the lead-in finished as we come through here. And the two power-ups for this course are, as you can see, feather and steamroller. The feather, probably the most effective one on this, because there's only a small section of cobble stones for the steamroller, and it doesn't really give you much of an attack point because it's relatively flat where it is as well. So first little incline then, you start to notice the pace ramping up pretty easily, and everyone's kind of pushing up into the 4 watts per kilo by the time we get to the midpoint of this, but it's nothing too drastic. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to speed this up a little bit. So quite early on we had this one guy kept punching off the front. He did make a joke on there saying he's just making sure he gets himself on YouTube, so he must think I'm filming. But fair play, he did keep the race quite interesting. And as we hit this rollers bit here, I'm just powering down the climb so I can just roll over the top of them, and doing the same throughout. And then this was like the first time I kind of got out the saddle and just kind of pump the legs a little bit. You see people are using steam rollers and they do absolutely nothing here. And then as we go down into crossing the bridge, this is where you'll get your next power up. And I didn't use my feather because I know I want to save it for a little bit later on, and I wasn't risking getting a steamroller. As we approach then, this is the cobble bit I mentioned, so it's relatively flat and there's nothing really to attack on. And then you're on this next little kind of gradual climb. Same guy off the front, just kind of keeping the race interesting, which is good. Like I like that. He's so a lot of people are kind of cautious and sitting, and it can be quite boring. But this has been quite a punchy first lap. And this is where the kind of decisive climb of each lap is going to be. And I've seen a lot of people are popping feathers quite early. I save it until about halfway because I know I'm going to be out with the saddle now powering. And I didn't try to chase those down because I knew once we got round this corner my weight would help me kind of latch back on, and that is exactly what happened. But we did break the group up quite a bit in that. There you go, gonna get myself on YouTube, that's what he says, for attacking off the front. And yeah, James, you've definitely got yourself on YouTube, mate, so well done. And then we finish, and this is the end of the first lap, and we start the second lap. And then as we come back up, we all kind of come together for this incline again. And again, pace is about 4.5 watts per kilo up this. No major attacks or anything yet. And everyone's just kind of sticking together because we've still got another 2 laps to go. So we're only at the beginning of the second lap. And same thing with the rollers. I'm punching down them, but then I'm not. I'm just kind of freewheeling over the top of them until we get to here. And then I know I'm going to be just get out the saddle for a little bit and pump the pedals. And then as we crest the hill, something happens. My foot unclips from the pedal, so I was like, oh, best try to get it unclipped, get it clipped back in. And no. So, what happened then? What ended up happening then was my cleat snapped. Yeah, I've had this happen before, so this is not the first time. So if you look at the state of it now, it's in terrible condition, and I would say 100% look after your shoes, get your cleats sorted, check them regularly. I'm just glad it happened while I was indoors, because if it had happened the day before in a wet race, could have been a little bit of disaster. But not all was lost. This was the 1:10 in the afternoon race, and I'd only done a lap and a half. So by the time I got off, I had a quick look in the garage, and I did have a spare set of cleats. They were quite a cheap set of cleats, and they were red. And I had a few people message me saying they've got a different float, but they're actually the same float. They're just a dodgy colour because I bought them with a cheap set of pedals, and they've got the same float as the yellow ones. So I thought I'll quickly change them, see if I can get them back on, and then there's another race at 2:10. So here they are, nice and fixed, and best test them out in a race then. Let's see what happens. So one thing I forgot to mention was my GoPro was actually still fitted to my bike, my stand and everything like that. So I did manage in that time to get my GoPro fitted back to the camera and then stick it on. But unfortunately, this one was now the 570 to 725. So a little bit of a tougher crowd. But do you know what? It's all good. Got to test the new cleats out. So let's see how it goes. Again, for kind of a lunchtime, I was really pleasantly surprised by the numbers in this race. Normally the evenings are the busier ones, but quite happy with the kind of mid-20s in what would be an A category group. We've got 26 in this, so quite happy with that. And it starts off a little bit tamer than the previous race, so even happier with that. So as we cross the banner here then, like in the previous race, I'm really hoping for a feather. But the power-up gods are against me in this one, and I get the steamroller, which is not exactly what you want on this, but I've got another opportunity to hopefully get a little bit later. Similar to the first race I was in, so the pace ramped up a little bit on this incline, but nothing too taxing. Again, first lap nerves, I think. A few people put a couple of watts down, but nothing to kind of break the group up or no one off the front. Do decide to get out the saddle for a little bit and just stretch my legs rather than just staying seated and burning them out. And then at this point we kind of do have that one guy just kind of dangling off the front there. I don't think this is a major attack. I think it's probably just to try and spur the group up to do something. And he's still sitting a couple of seconds off the front on these rollers, but I suspect by the time we hit the climbs, we'll be back together. And then as we hit this incline, everyone starts popping their power-ups and stuff like that. I think it's probably a wasted feather. But we close in on that guy who was out front pretty quickly. I just get out the saddle and go up a couple of gears and just put a bit of power down just to keep myself in contact. But as long as I'm with the contact at the back of the group, I know that once we get over the top, I'll just sail back in. And then we're all back together. And then I see the banner and I think, do you know what? Why don't I just use my steamroller now on the hope that as I go through, I'll get a feather. And just as I'm seething because I got another steamroller, my GoPro dies again. So it's not the battery. I don't know why. But it seems to stop recording after 5 minutes or something. So I might have to have a look at it. I do have two, so because like I said in the other video, the rear camera carried on recording on my bike, so I might swap them over. It's had all its updates and everything like that, so I'm not really sure what's wrong with it. And then I pop the steamroller because this is literally the only point of the race that it's actually effective. It could be a really good attack point if you just want to hit it with a massive sprint, but then as you round the corner, you have got a little bit of an incline. So do you want to burn matches before you hit this incline? I suppose it's completely up to you. And as you've already seen a full lap of this, it's quite an uneventful first lap. So what I'll do is I'll skip forward to midway through the final lap, and we'll see how it goes from there. So I've picked it up on the third lap, and kind of the decisive part of the course really is this climb here. So we've got one guy who attacked a little bit earlier, 9 seconds out in front. We've only got a couple off the back at 14 seconds, and I got a feather. So I'm feeling pretty good. I am pretty tired at this point, and I think it's because I did half a race beforehand, and then I had a break where I was panicking and trying to sort my bike out, my cleats out, and then quickly trying to get back on and warm up again. So I am starting to feel a bit tired now, and people looking at it have hit their feathers really early, and I just kind of hold off. So I don't know why I did, because I was kind of saving it to the red bit, and then I hit my feather because I thought I'm losing too much contact, and they're all now in orange numbers, and I'm only just hitting orange numbers trying to get to them. And this was a massive tactical error by me. So I am pumping hard on the pedals to try and to get them, and that guy that we're passing there was the one that was 9 seconds in front, so his earlier attack really didn't stick, and I'm right on them. I'm 1 second from the back of the pack, and then my legs just go. And I sit up, and it is the worst thing I could have done because they just get away from me now. But for some reason in my head, I'm thinking, well, I'm quite a heavy rider, so maybe I can just do something to get back on. But actually, at this point, I feel pretty done. And I look up, and already they're 5 seconds ahead. And I think, do you know what? I would have loved to have taken this to the sprint. But I've got a guy 4 seconds behind, a guy 4 seconds ahead. And I just don't think I've got it. I think I've just done too much today. The Zwift panic kicked in, and I'm just kind of happy to complete this stage without my cleats snapping. So from here, I just try to make sure that guy 3 seconds behind me can't catch me, and I did try and maybe think if I put a dig in, could I get to them, because I can see them there, and it's really frustrating, but I've just got to remember I did have a massive crit race the day before, and then I did do half a race just before this, so this is the category above as well, so I've just got to take it all and be relatively happy. I don't even sprint for the finish. I can see that he's coming up behind with 2 seconds to go, but then the finish line's there, so I'm quite happy just to roll over the finish line. And with that then, I finished 11th, right? Not my greatest performance, But with all things considered, I think it went all right. So, cycling and like racing on Zwift, it doesn't always go to plan, right? Things break, mistakes happen. Sometimes you just have a bad day. But the key is really not to give up. Today could have been the end of stage one for me, but instead of calling it, I just reset, got back on the bike and pushed through. And that's what racing's really all about, right? It's showing up, kind of finding a way and giving it your best, no matter what gets thrown at you. So I hope this inspires you to keep pushing in all your rides and races. Even when things don't go to plan or go right, just drop a comment in there. Let me know how your stage one went, and share a time when you had to fight through an issue mid-race. And if you've enjoyed this video, hit like and subscribe for more Zwift racing, some live streams, might do some training content. And then on to stage 2 next week, and hopefully both of them cleats working this time. Bye-bye.